Hey, what's up guys? Jabber1 here, and in today's video we're going to be going through what is going on with Starfield and Bethesda, what about this secret event that they held, and what does that mean for this possible Starfield 2.0? Let's get into that and more in this video. So let's talk about why Starfield 2.0 is basically trending right now. There was a secret event that was held just this past week, and some people have come out to say they attended and there were some cool things to be seen from Bethesda on Starfield here. Now, Starfield 2.0, that's not official branding. That's something that basically the community has said, oh my gosh, is this going to be what CD Projekt Red did with Cyberpunk 2077 after their pretty poor launch? What I'll tell you is we need to keep our expectations tempered because the studio hasn't come out and said, yes, this is a 2.0 release of the game. A lot of people are expecting, hey, this is probably going to be a new release that's tied to the PlayStation 5 release. So these updates are going to go live on Xbox and PC platforms with the actual launch of PS5, which is totally feasible. And I think that some of these overhauls that the team is maybe working on aren't quite as 2.0 as everybody would like to see. So we're going to talk about what are the things we know Bethesda's doing. We're going to talk about what we want to see as the community. And I'm going to briefly just say, here's the things that we're not going to see change. And that's not just because I'm being pessimistic. It's because I'm being realistic. The game is out. It's fully released. There are some systems and portions of the game that are just absolutely not going to be touched or changed because it would be a huge undertaking to do so, and it would completely change the game itself in a way that doesn't make sense for them to invest that much time and effort into after the game's already been released 2 years later. And trust me, I understand the frustrations with the game. As somebody who has over 1,000 hours in the game, right? I really enjoyed Starfield, but there are a lot of things that I think that could have been done better, and there are a lot of things that I know the community has had frustrations with that I myself have with the exploration loop, some of the loading screens, things like that. Now, I still enjoy the game, I still have a good time playing the game, but there are frustrations, and I get that. So let's actually talk about this secret Bethesda event a little bit more. That event was private and invite-based, according to everything that we've heard from other people who said they attended. Very small pool of people. And it sounds like it wasn't this huge overhaul of, oh my gosh, you guys are going to be seeing DLC content, you're going to be seeing new content drops. It wasn't that. It wasn't an unveiling of what the next story-based DLC was. It was really just people to see and check out some of the quality of life improvements being made to Starfield. So that's a good thing. And it's also, some people might think it's a bad thing they didn't see any story DLC. I don't think that's true. I think if they have enough of a emphasis on really creating what players want to see out of the base game, and then the story DLC comes after, I think that's an okay way to do that. I mean, people are craving more official Bethesda content, but if they're really going to do an overhaul in the game, I wouldn't be too upset that we haven't seen the story-based stuff. I'm sure there's a small subsect of a team that's only focusing on that story-based DLC, while another subsect is focusing on actually correcting and overhauling some of the core components of the game with the space exploration, with the travel, and with maybe a little bit of that exploration loop with the loading screens and whatnot too. Now, it's obviously not a reveal of a sequel either. And another thing too is the reason they kept an event like this so quiet is because they want to control the messaging feedback. I'm sure the people had to sign an NDA to attend this event, and I think part of it is because maybe Bethesda's actually learned that, hey, we want to make sure people like what we're doing before we just go and say, yeah, we know they're going to like it. Let's put it out to everybody, only for the overall audience message to be, this sucked. Now, of course, when you're doing that invite to a closed, event like this, I'm sure these people played some of these updates. I'm sure, obviously, since they can't talk about it, the overall consensus has been kept very, very void from any comments by the people that have attended. There's been no overall, oh my gosh, this was hype. There's been no, this was trash. It's been, yeah, I'm excited for it. And I'm sure that's about all they could say. So, we have to take this with a grain of salt too, because these overhauls and changes and improvements, some people might think that they're not changes or improvements. They're changes, but they might not think they're improvements. So that's another thing with a closed event like this is they're going to get the feedback from everyone who attended, and then they're going to hope that what they did was the right thing by doing all of these changes or implementations of these overhauled mechanics. And then they source, thoughts and feedback from these people who will then give them kind of their own internal green light to say, yes, okay, this is ready. Let's announce a date for the PS5 release. And then obviously with the PS5 release, this would come out in tandem for the other platforms. Most likely. I mean, they could launch it sooner than the PS5 release if there's any other small minor tweaks that need to be done too, just to optimize it on that console. And honestly, I'm sure that they do have their own internal roadmap of how they would like to unveil this, when they would like to drop the Story 2 DLC. So all of those things have to work out for their own, internal roadmap for the game. Now, obviously, from the outside looking in, it's like, what roadmap? These guys haven't had anything come out on schedule after the release of the game. But I'm sure it's because they have some quality control checks that they're trying to do because of how poorly received parts of the original Starfield game actually were. Now, I do want to tell you guys what Bethesda had actually confirmed. And again, this goes back to a studio developer spotlight interview that was done back in end of summer here for us North Americans. And during that, it was noted that they are working on a story DLC. So that is confirmed. If you guys are wondering, I keep throwing out the story DLC. It is confirmed that they are working on the second story DLC for Starfield. They also had said in that interview, we're working on some pretty cool things with space exploration and traversal, and we think it's going to be something you guys will like. So again, that's the confirmed stuff that they're actually working on. Now, obviously, that's just very, very brief minor comments, so extrapolating out exactly what those changes are, I'm not going to speculate too heavily, but I can say they're definitely going to be doing something with the overall flight system. Not changing how you fly, but changing how you go from either, one planet to the next planet. So maybe instead of having a cutscene, there will be like a expedited speed mode where you actually will take several minutes to fly in between. And changing how that, loads works, maybe loading screens for something like that. I can imagine they may work on something with the actual grav jump as well, where the grav jump animation that they run. Ideally, and I brought this up in a previous video, ideally that grav jump animation, even if they make it take a little bit longer, once you actually go into the animation, obviously not just the countdown for the grav drive to initiate, but if they can make that take a little bit longer to cover up the load screen, because it flashes to white, but then you still get brought into a loaded black screen. Now, fortunately, I have a pretty decent computer setup, so my loading screens they're quick. It does not take much time, and I'm fortunate to be in that situation, and not everybody is. So for me, it is still annoying, though, when I have flash of white, quick black loading screen for a second, and then boom, I'm into the next system. It's like, how about you somehow integrate the loading screen into the flash of white, so as soon as I come back out of that, it's boom, I'm loaded in. Just extend the cutscene screen just to cover the loading. Now, that would be a nice small improvement that'd be simple to make, I would think, that would absolutely keep myself immersed in the game. The other confirmed, exploration piece that they've talked about, you can't accurately interpret what that means. Because if we're talking exploration and that game's exploration loop, it's in such a state right now that isn't what most people were looking for. Really anything would improve it, and I don't want to over-speculate on what improvements are going to be made. Right? I'm thinking they're just going to add a few more POIs, and then they say, hey, there's more diversity in POIs. We've maybe changed some of the planet caps that you'll see some of these POIs, so it feels like a more naturally occurring, locations that you can come across. Maybe they add some variety with what buildings are where, just taking the current POI structure, but then breaking it up a little bit more so it seems more diverse. I can see that being part of the upcoming game. But again, I don't want to over-confirm what isn't true because we don't know that part for sure. Okay, and again, I do want to take all of this that we've been talking about and say this is not an official Starfield 2.0 from Bethesda. That's just gamer, hopeful, wishful thinking. This is truly just some updates that Bethesda's working on for Starfield. If they haven't officially come out and said it's going to be Starfield 2.0, then we can't take it as, yeah, they're going to change overall storylines. They're going to change some of the writing and dialogue. They're going to change some of the additional side quest content. We're probably not going to see that. And some people in my previous videos have said they'd like to see that, and to some degree, I can understand. But we can't expect Bethesda to go back and completely rewrite their game, because that is too much of an undertaking for them to do at this time with Elder Scrolls 6 in development and Fallout 5 in pre development. There's just no way they have the bandwidth to try and redesign a little bit of the story and side quest content to either give us more meaningful choices or dialogue. It's just not in the cards. I would not bank on that. And if it does happen, I'm going to make a video where I say I was wrong, and I will tell you guys till the hills that I was wrong. But that's just not something that I expect we'll see nor in this update or ever. But, some of these other updates that they're talking about or thinking about are good. And there could be some other minor things that we haven't even heard details on that they will still implement. And I'm hopeful that some of it has to do with the base building, outposts, and a few more building components that you go around the world, you see all these other building components. I mean, come on, we don't even have a bathroom for the outposts without buying creations. You can't actually make a bathroom like outpost module. I use hallways, put up the little office dividers, and then that's my bathroom in my outpost. Like, yeah, it works. It's like, wow, you're a creative way to use the space. But come on, we don't have a bathroom in these outposts? Let's be real. So, there's some things like that for immersion's sake, would be really good if they would overhaul. Truly. So, I want to zoom out a little bit. Talking about these things and knowing Bethesda's working on that second story DLC, working on these updates, does it change Starfield's future? I think yes. These quality of life updates could actually really change the overall taste in players' mouth. People might go from, man, I couldn't get behind the game. The space travel was tedious. The exploration was abysmal. It wasn't fun. Some of these quality of life updates could really ramp up the immersion and make players feel like, hey, this is a place I can spend hours. I feel like I'm living here. I'm breathing in this world and atmosphere, or in space. But that's something that I think actually could truly change Starfield's future outlook and how people look back at the game, especially if they give it another chance considering these updates. Now, obviously, I'm not saying drop everything, play this after the update comes out, but look into it. See what's going on. I'll obviously make some content on that and let you guys know what's really changed and is it worth it. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are you excited for this update? Have any things that you've heard that have been maybe partially substantiated? Does that seem like something you'd want to play? Does it seem like something you think's really going to happen? Let me know your thoughts. I love having conversations down in the comments. And if you guys like the video, like it. If you could please subscribe, I would love it. Love seeing more subscribers and having people grow this community we have in this channel here. So, until next time, that's all I got, guys. But let me know what you think. And until next time, well met, travelers.